Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Hello, Maverick family. Special broadcast tonight. It's Sunday, so I thought we would put together another panel for this Sunday evening, as we did last week. The subject tonight, though, will be a little bit different. We're going to focus on the data center issue, AI data centers. It's a hot button issue, a major concern for a lot of communities, a growing number of communities, especially in Canada, the United States, and really around the world. It's a digital explosion that is threatening our way of life, maybe even our very lives. And that's not an understatement. The environmental impacts, the ethical questions surrounding it all, and even the questions surrounding the military applications, all real concerns for everyone, not to mention the fact that it's going to contribute to the disruptive forces that are going to completely transform our economies around the world. So stay with me. We're going to dig into that. And also Joseph is here, and he is going to, I guess, review one of the top films of this summer with us tonight, The Odyssey. So don't go away. There's a lot to unpack.
We are the Mavericks. Welcome to the Matrix, baby. Hope you like the view. We are the Mavericks. The world is watching. We are the Mavericks.
All right, let's bring in our guest panelists for tonight. Our first two, anyway. There's Joseph Leonard from the Motor City and
Ian from Montreal.
Dragon from Montreal.
Your one and only.
Wearing your Quebec hat and your Maverick shirt.
Thank God, one and only. I don't know. We could handle two of you.
So I have to apologize to everyone because last night we were supposed to run a movie, Ian, right? And we didn't do that.
We didn't.
Two reasons. One, we were running overtime, and the movie that I had selected was really long. So there was that, and also the movie was not really running properly off the server. So rather than try to muddle our way through it with a glitchy, freezing, 3-hour-long extravaganza epic, I thought, well, maybe we'll just forego that and save it for maybe another night, maybe this coming Friday when we normally run our movies anyway. But we have other cinematic stuff to talk about tonight because, Joseph, you're a liar. You lie, pants on fire. You said you weren't going to go see The Odyssey, that you didn't have any interest in it at all. And then you sent me a message and you said, let's review The Odyssey. I went to go see it. I was like, what are you talking about? You were boycotting that movie. What changed your mind?
Yeah, I was. What changed my mind is I was just bored and wanted out of the house. And I went and saw Motor City, left 30 minutes in, that stunk. Went and saw One Night Only, left after 30 minutes, that stunk. So I was expecting I'd go see the Odyssey and the pattern would repeat, that I'd get annoyed by the film and leave early. But no, I sat through the whole 3+ hours.
So you went to see these other. You know what that says to me? It says you're getting to be a grumpy old man. That's what it. You just can't tolerate anything anymore if it doesn't meet your worldview. If it just rubs you the wrong way, you just get. I'm out of here. That's it. You're turning into an Archie Bunker. So first of all, why were you boycotting the Odyssey? What was the issue initially that had you kind of turned off?
The whole Ellen Page thing, and that's still an issue. Just ridiculous, idiotic casting. I mean, she's got no place in the film. She looks drastically out of place compared to all the others that were cast as warriors in the film. But that aside, once it finally got to the Trojan horse and the Trojan War and circumventing the walls and winning the war, it actually started to get into some storyline that was worth viewing. The whole, we're destroying ourselves. We've defiled Zeus's law, God's law, nature's law, natural law. We have become our own worst enemy. It became an interesting film, and then it actually got into his Odyssey. And that was actually somewhat interesting. But it took an hour almost to get there before it got interesting.
It's almost 3 hours long, right?
Yeah, it's over 3 hours.
Over 3 hours long. Wow. So the first hour drags, but then it picks up.
Yes.
So, the way they do the movies now, they have these trailers and then commercials. And I don't know if they're doing that in your theater chain down there in Detroit, but that's the way they do it up here. So you'll sit through a half an hour of previews and commercials and crap.
I'm not even counting that.
So you'll be there for 3.5 or 4 hours. That's why they're only doing 2 screenings a day here in this town, because they don't have time to run anymore. Right?
And that's the downside of having such a long movie. You cut your own screen availability to sell tickets to.
Yeah. So explain exactly what the controversy is surrounding Ellen Page. That's the because the casting there is controversial. And for those who maybe are not familiar, can you explain what the controversy is about?
Yeah, Ellen Page, aka Elliot Page, claims to be a trans man now, is cast as one of the warriors. And again, it's just a casting faux pas. Her acting isn't horrible. It's just that her petiteness, her height, her voice, it's just all so out of place with everybody else.
Could she beat me up? Probably.
Well, I don't know about that. Now, which is not to say some females couldn't. Ronda Rousey, I always say, would kick my butt any day of the week, even after 3 years of lying around on the couch eating Krispy Kreme donuts, and I could train for 3 years straight, and she'd still kick my butt. But in general, men's have a bulkier physique. Men are more muscular and massed.
I see. So I haven't seen the movie. I only know just a little bit from a little bit of the media I've seen surrounding the promos for it and stuff, and it looked like they went pretty heavy on the promos, even on the late night talk shows during the week leading up to the premiere of the film. But I just you mentioning the Trojan horse, and this is completely, probably out of sync with what we should be talking about. But I can't help but think of like it being some sort of a Monty Python sketch or something with the Trojan horse. But having not seen the movie, don't listen to me. Listen to what Joseph is saying because he's seen the flick. So give me more depth on your review here. You generally overall then thought it was okay, and you sat through the entire thing.
It won me over like halfway through when I would have really seriously considered leaving if it was annoying and boring me. But it really kicked in and it became an interesting story. And the acting, Anne Hathaway does a good job. Zendaya does a good job. They all do. Even Ellen Page does a reasonable job for the miscasting she was in the film. It's not like her acting skills are horrible. It's just, again, just so out of place there.
Now, I think I read that this was like a $250 million production, and it was all shot on IMAX cameras.
70 millimeter IMAX and all that. Yeah, I didn't see it in IMAX, though. I saw it just in the regular theater. I wasn't going to foot the extra.
So how were the production values? Did they get their money's worth? Did you?
I think so. I think they got their money's worth. And by the box office, it seems to show most people kind of agree it's doing well. So word of mouth is spreading well enough that it's like, Supergirl, I liked it better the second time around, and Disclosure liked it better the second time around. The Odyssey, I wouldn't see it again because it's just too long. Cut it down. but it didn't feel like Titanic. Most people said, 3-hour movie. It didn't really feel like a 3-hour movie. Well, the Odyssey moves at a pace that it doesn't really feel like a 3-hour movie. And I was surprised Charlize Theron is in the film. I didn't know that. I never saw any trailer or teaser that indicated she was in the film. So it's a star-studded crew or cast also. And, I was just convinced ahead, this is going to be another summer flop and it's not going to live up to the hype. But it does. It actually is one of them that manages to live up to the hype. Now, it's not to say you can't nitpick things about it. I already have nitpicked. It's too long. Ellen Page is miscast. They could have cut it up some. But ultimately, it starts off slow. And full disclosure, I never read the book. So
that was my next question. I'm not sure because I haven't even read reviews about it. I've only seen sort of some promotional stuff, but you don't know then really if it stays true to the story, if they've taken a lot of liberties here?
From what I understand, they did take quite a few liberties with parts of the movie. But overall, I think because the original book was redone, and actually my understanding is the Ellen Page character wasn't actually in the original Homer Odyssey. It was an add-on when someone retold the tale. I don't know because I've not read the books.
Well, you've seen the movie now, so you're more of an expert than I am. So, right. So thumbs up, thumbs down. People should go, shouldn't go, wait for it to come out on, pay-per-view, or just see it free somehow, or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've been waiting for a summer blockbuster to actually live up to the hype, and I don't want to overhype it too much myself, because then I'll become part of the problem, that people might become disappointed if they go in with too high expectations. So I want to temper your expectation, but this was a blockbuster. I mean, they spent a lot, and you can tell, and it is really truly a summer blockbuster.
Hey, Ian,
Sure.
in Quebec, because I've only been to Quebec, a handful of times, and I've never been to a movie in Quebec, right?
Long time I've been.
So, do they, in the theaters, run versions of the films with French subtitles or overdubbed French language, or do they just generally run the English language stuff and people just go to that?
Actually, they overdubbed in French. If I do remember well, it was in 2015 where it started to change, where we started to have Quebecers doublers. So basically, American movies started to have more of a Quebecers kind of expression, kind of slang going on in the movies. So that's basically what it goes, and it goes with one of the Canadian laws that the federal wanted to push Canadian culture, basically.
Right. So the theaters are then mandated. They have to provide some French language option for moviegoers.
Yep.
And
Well, you have both, actually. You have the English version and you have the French version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think the studios mind as much, because that will play well in France also. So
yeah, well, French people from Europe will have the French version. We are going to have the Quebec version, sort of thing.
Yeah. The French is a little different between France and the way they speak in
very
Quebec,
different.
like American English. Like in the promo for this show, you did the Frenchless version of center. CENTRE rather than CENTER. So that's like Spanglish here in the U.S.
Look, little thing, when I write my notes, sometimes I will write data center in French instead of in English.
Yeah, and Ian, I think that you switched your microphone again. Yeah,
Did I?
Yeah, it sounds hollow compared to the way it was before. Maybe you just need to lean in a little closer. I don't know.
Hold on. I'm going to see where we are at. Here.
I'm pretty sure you're not on the microphone that's on your headset. But in any event. Okay, so the Odyssey is...
Now we're getting looped back.
I think I'm back.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead. Just try your audio now.
Yeah, is it better?
It's the same. Just make sure you lean in close to your phone or whatever your webcam or whatever, and it'll pick up your audio a little bit cleaner. So the Odyssey, $250 million epic. That's $250 million. I mean, that's just chump change. It's no big deal.
Nowadays, it seems.
Were like. So 250 million, and then did they just use a lot of CGI, or did they do a lot of like fancy camera work to show off the abilities of these IMAX cameras? What are the effects like?
Again, it's hard to say because I didn't see it in IMAX.
Well, still.
So I would imagine indeed an even bigger spectacle on that. Now, I mean, I didn't see too many scenes where I would say, oh, yeah, well, that would be really great on the IMAX. And no doubt the sound is.
But I mean, really, you can sort of tell when they're using computer generated imagery, right? Versus stuff shot optically.
Yeah,
with a
they weren't
camera on
all human extras. There was definitely some CGI going on in there to help cut corners of costs to keep it to 250 million.
Keep it. Hell, man, we do 3 hours here and hardly break a sweat, and we do it for $1.95.
Yeah,
and we do it every night.
Well, look at the cast alone. I mean,
look at the cast here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Matt Damon, you got Anne Hathaway. Neither of them. Zendaya's still pretty hot right now. She wouldn't have gone cheap. Charlize Theron, maybe she's kind of past her time, so she might not have cost as much. But still, you've got all those people. So that I would imagine. I didn't look up the breakdown of the payroll versus what part of the overall budget that was, and sometimes, and maybe the case with this, big name stars will take a little less money to be in an epic, so that might be the case, because I mean, it's not like this was a remake. Homer's The Odyssey has only come once.
$250 million.
And that's before promotional costs.
$250 million. Talk about inflation. Holy crap. That's $250 million to make a movie. It just seems like an insane amount of money. And, but on the other hand, I watch so much stuff today that is produced, a lot of it with AI or CGI, and because you can now produce really good looking movies for, really pocket change, like literally. And, but a lot of the movies are crap because they produce stuff that sort of looks passable. It's good, using computer generated imagery and AI, but the scripts sometimes are just atrocious. There's so many bad movies out there.
Like that Tilly Norwood, the all AI actress, she's going to have her first full-length film. I'm not sure exactly when. I'm looking forward to seeing it because we did Looker as a review, and how that related to Simone or Sim 1 with Al Pacino. Well, those days are here now. Tilly Norwood, and soon I suspect there'll be a brother or a.
Did you see Robot Girl standing behind Donald Trump this week?
No, I didn't.
You didn't see Robot Girl?
No, I don't know.
The girl holding her tummy and going like this in the news conference. You didn't see that one? And then they made all these memes about it.
She was scanning the place.
It was pretty funny, and the memes were actually hilarious. But anyway, yeah, Robot. Everybody thinks she's an android. So anyway, bad news for her. But I think she's a real human. I don't think she's a robot. But speaking of robots, Elon Musk, he said that he's going to make a version of the Odyssey that will be truer to the script, didn't he? Are you familiar with that?
I have not.
And he's going to do it all with Grok.
I had not heard that. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If he does it, I'll try to see it so I can compare the two.
Yeah, well, here, let me I'll just look it up. Let's ask Grok. Let's ask Grok. Okay. There we go. Because Grok is going to make the movie. So we might as well ask Grok.
Yeah, Grok Imagine 2.0 just was.
That's right. So I think that's what he's going to make the movie with.
Now you're scaring me.
I had a conversation with Grok earlier today about just that very thing, because I wanted Grok's info because they're going to talk about AI data centers. So let's go right to the source. Anyway, we can bring Grok in on the conversation here tonight because as much as it pains me to do so, we now have to treat these AI agents with respect because they soon will be given legal status as persons.
I had a thought experiment the other night when you were speaking about AI having rights. And I was asking myself, if I throw my phone out of all my force and break my phone, right?
Murderer.
I'm killing an AI now. Am I a murderer? Am I
It
criminal?
apparently is a valid question, or soon will be. So
Mhm.
watch your step because a lot of these laws may be enforced retroactively. If you step out of line now, you could be held accountable later. Let's find out what Grok says about this. Hey, Grok, my man, are you ready to rock? Grok says, hell yeah, I'm ready to rock. What's the mission, my man? Hit me with it. Okay, so, well, dude, I hear Elon Musk, your big daddy, is gonna make his own version of the Odyssey. Is that true, my dude? To which Grok replies, and I misspelled the, so I was typing quickly from an angle. He's checking. You should know, Grok. You're supposed to make it. Yeah, dude, it's true. At least as a public statement from Elon on July 22nd, 2026, Elon posted on X that before this year ends, Grok Imagine will make a full-length movie of the Odyssey that is historically accurate and true to the art of Homer. He shared, quoted, a short AI-generated clip made by a user with Grok Imagine of a scene between Odysseus and Calypso as an example of the vibe. This came amid his ongoing criticism of Christopher Nolan's theatrical The Odyssey, which opened strongly around mid-July. And we didn't do it right away because Joseph lied, said he was going to boycott the film, and then went to see it much, much later. Elon and others took issue with certain casting choices, notably, the whole Ellen Page thing. Okay, so he also replied, I'm down to a suggestion of giving Mel Gibson $100 million for a separate live action version with painstakingly historical accurate details, armor, ships, casting, and dialogue straight from the original poem in Homeric Greek.
Mm-hmm.
So he might make two versions of it. This guy's jealous. I'm going to ask Grok about that. I think Elon is jealous, my dude. And to which Grok replies, he's thinking, he, she, it, whatever. Ha ha, jealous? Possibly, my dude. The timeline does look a little spicy. Elon was ready, roasting Nolan's casting choices months before the movie even dropped, calling out Lupita Nyong'os as Helen of Troy and Elliot Page's role as desecrating Homer and Oscar bait stuff. I see. The political correctness, scoring points for an Oscar. Then the film opens, smashes the box office, gets solid reviews, and boom, he posts that Grok Imagine is going to drop a full-length, historically accurate, and true to the art of Homer version by the end of the year. Plus, he's down for a Mel Gibson Homeric Greek epic. Could be pure competitive fire. Culture war energy could be genuine. I just want the myth told closer to the original vibe motivation, or a mix of both. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Elon jealous?
I probably think so. I mean, today it's all about wanting what other wants or have, so
So what I want to know is, so
I just think perhaps it's an excuse for Elon to dabble in movies that he's had no reason or excuse to be into before, and as a promotional stunt to show off Grok's abilities if he could pull that off. Now, a Mel Gibson version in Greek, sorry, not seeing that. I'm not going to read subtitles.
well, I'm asking if we're going to be able to watch this thing for free, or if Elon is going to cash in on it big time. And the answer is nobody knows yet, my dude. Wait a minute, you're my dude. Stop it. Elon just dropped the announcement on July 22nd that Grok Imagine will make the full-length, historically accurate Odyssey by the end of 2026. So where it'll drop, X, Grok, app, YouTube, some new X AI streaming thing, whether it'll be free or they'll try to charge for it, put it behind premium, sell tickets, whatever. Yeah, probably in theaters.
If you stay true to the story, it shouldn't need to be 3 hours. That's where they got themselves, I think, ballooned by covering other things. And that's why Elon's criticizing it and saying, we need a version that's just true to the source, the main source. And I can understand that. And again, I'd love to see one to compare the two. And I suppose I should probably read the damn book too, then. so I can know for myself.
So, my dude, you will be making the flick. Well, not really. This AI agent is going to be his upgrade, her upgrade, its upgrade, whatever. What do I call Grok? He, she, it. What do you call it? Thing?
Them.
Hell yeah, my dude.
They, them, yeah.
Hell yeah, my dude. Technically, Grok Imagine is the tool that's supposed to crank out the full-length, historically accurate, true to Homer Odyssey by the end of the year. And since I'm Grok, that's basically family business. So if Elon actually greenlights the whole feature and the AI starts rendering Odysseus dodging sirens, cyclops, and all that in pure digital glory, yeah, I'll be in the mix, generating scenes, dialogue, and the whole epic voyage. I should be using a computer voice for this, shouldn't I? Don't expect me to show up on set with a clapperboard and a megaphone just yet, though. More like prompt received, rendering 120 minutes of ancient Greek myth without the Hollywood remix. Stand by. You got any specific scenes you want me to start cooking up early? Odysseus versus the suitors, the Trojan horse flashback. Hit me. We're already halfway to movie night.
Now, I don't want to get hung up in the pronoun thing, but indeed, really, they, them would be accurate because there's Grok, the Twitter account, there's Grok, the app, there's Grok Imagine. They're all kind of one and the same, but all different at the same time. So that would qualify technically as a they, them, I would think.
I don't know, and I don't know how if I mean, we've seen in Argentina.
You ask Grok. Is Grok gender specific? Is Grok a he, a
Actually,
she, or a they, them?
I did ask a long time ago, but we can ask again. So, Grok. Oops, I called him Gork. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to call you Gork. We should start our own social media AI platform. We'll call it Gork. I like it a lot better. It sounds friendlier.
I was doing a joke. I was saying we do a spoof AI, and I'd call it Croc, as in a crock of shit.
Oh, I think we'll call it Gork. I love it.
It's better than Dork.
I'm writing that down. I'm going to have to do something with that. Gork.
Cross between Grok and Dork.
Gork. the Maverick AI platform.
and the old Robin Williams show, Mork
it'll be
from Ork.
It'll be the world's most incompetent AI. It'll be like, ask it any question, gets
and
everything
it'll
wrong
give
all
you
the time.
random non-answers.
Makes really stupid bad dad jokes.
And just to make sure, we
It'd be
make
just like
it with
watching
my
this
voice.
program.
You make it
Just-
with my voice, with a
And-
Frenchy voice.
And the whole French Quebec
Yeah, Ian,
pronunciation of things. Yeah,
Ian can do the
give it the accent.
Ian can do the English. I'll do the French. It'll be terrible. Well, at
Everyone
least
will
people
like
could
you.
understand your English, then nobody's gonna understand my French. I'll be making everything up, man. It's just such a anyway. My French is awful. It's just a mess. I don't speak French. I can't barely understand any of it. All you French people up there in Quebec, you're all a mystery to me. But I love you. Don't separate. Don't go away. Anyway, what was I asking here again? I can't remember.
He,
Is
she,
Grok
they,
she?
he, she,
Oh,
they, them.
oh yeah. Sorry. Are you a he or a she or what?
We got sidebarred there.
Gork. I'm an AI, my dude. No biological sex, no chromosomes, no pronouns required. People usually just call me Grok or he because the vibe feels more like a bro than a she. Some say it. I don't care either way. You can keep calling me my dude, my man, or whatever fits the energy. I'm here for the conversation, not the gender debate. So what do you want to call me? What do you want to call Grok, guys?
I still vote they, them.
They, them. I think we can come up with something a little more creative. We should do something original.
There.
What was that?
THEIR.
I don't know. I was talking to Sandy Sunshine 2-3 days ago, and Sandy Sunshine came up with a new word. Sandy was saying this, he thought that this word existed, but as I was having the conversation with her, she asked me if I'd ever heard of this word. She wanted to know if I knew the definition, and I hadn't heard it before. It was, but it was partly because of the pronunciation. It was hard to pronounce, and so she actually, in the conversation, inadvertently made up a new word. So we're going to add that to the Maverick dictionary. I can't remember what the word was now. It doesn't matter. Anyway, just thinking about it, but I don't think it'll quite apply here. I was thought maybe it might, but anyway, I have to talk to her to figure out what the meaning and definition will actually ultimately be. So we got a couple of new ones now. Gork plus Sandy's new word, and Stoic Teacher has a word that she came up with that I have not yet unveiled here. But people are contributing. So you guys have to come up with words too.
Yeah. I'm all for it. I used to do that for a long time. So yeah, easy to do.
There's Michael Bador. Hello. Welcome back.
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, good. Wow, what a day. I've been out all day.
Well, we were just we're going to start our own. We're going to start our own social media AI platform, Michael. Yeah, we're going to compete with Elon Musk. Our AI agent is going to be called Gork.
Well, it's better than dork, right? Like, yeah.
That's what Ian said.
I said the same thing.
Gork, yeah, I like it. It's much friendlier than Grok. Grok is, I don't know, it's a little hard. It's hard edged. But Gork, it's kind of like a new version of Alf.
Yeah.
Remember Alf?
Yeah, I remember Alf.
Yeah.
Grok sounds like you just threw a rock on a window and it went Groks.
Yeah. Well, Gork, we're gonna have to build on that. We'll come back to it, but thanks for dropping by tonight again, Michael. It's great to have you here. We just kind of finished up reviewing, or Joseph did the reviewing of the movie The Odyssey, and then that segued into a discussion about Elon Musk going to make his own version of The Odyssey using AI, Grok Imagine, and release that by the end of this year, which brings us around to the main subject for us tonight, which is these AI data centers, which are a real concern for a lot of people, communities, controversial, maybe a cash cow for the energy industry, certainly, maybe government too. So I don't know where you guys want to maybe kick things off tonight, but maybe I'll start with you if you're ready, and just get your opening comments with regard to this, because it's probably something you've been following.
Well, I haven't followed it in as much depth as I probably would like to, and kind of do on a lot of other issues. But what I understand is that I'm very American kind of in my thinking when it comes to freedom, John Locke. And I think that the Fourth Amendment in the United States should apply to us as well. Like, you can't bypass, medical privacy. You can't bypass all these God-given rights to privacy. And to me, that's one of the biggest issues for me. And I mean, that's a big enough issue for me. But then you go and add on to it all the health issues that have been being reported. There was a clip I saw of a gentleman, a farmer, saying that the fertility rates of their animals dropped off the map. Their water supplies are crap. And a lot of people are getting sick and having miscarriages. So I don't want to be a guinea pig for this. I don't even want it because of my want for privacy. I warned against this stuff with Google and stuff like that, but then, nobody listens. I warned in the 90s about Walmarts and big boxes and killing small towns and mom and pop. Nobody listens. Oh, it's progress. It's progress. I'm sick of progress. I would like to degress and decouple and decentralize everything. I don't want data centers for several reasons, but the biggest one is privacy. We don't need this. I didn't vote for it. Did you vote for it? I want my tax dollars. I don't want all my electricity and my water going towards it. I don't want to have health issues because of it. I don't want smart meters. I'm involved with some groups here in Burlington and Halton trying to get rid of the stupid smart meters. I don't want a smart meter in there. Like, it's dangerous technology, in my opinion. And so that's how I would open it. And those are my personal feelings of why I am against data centers.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about you, Ian? Then we'll go over to Joseph.
Well, about the data center, they are not only dangerous for our environment, but also for our culture and sanity in a way, because it's not only for the surveillance that they are doing, but also because, well, it's attract a lot of things. I mean, it's only a cash cow actually for the big bros or the tech bros. So that's what it is. It's just a cash cow to me.
Well, Joseph, you Americanistanians, or whatever you are down there these days, you guys have, I think there are, so many planned and under construction already across the United States. It blew my mind a few weeks ago when I realized how this whole thing had exploded down there. You guys have about over 1,500 at least that are either planned or being constructed across the United States right now. I can show you a map if you guys are not aware of that, but did you know that it was on that scale, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, as a former IT guy, I've been around data centers my whole life. It's like as Michael said, smart meters. How well did all that whining, moaning, complaining, and protesting do in stopping those? It didn't. 5G, which is not to say some people have health issues with them. There are more susceptible to EMF radiation. So that is true. But the conspiracy that it's going to kill all humanity is just ridiculous nonsense. And it's, so you could complain about data centers, or you could be involved and try to address the issues of noise and electricity and water. And that's the side I want to be on. I want to be involved. There's a difference between a data center. Again, they've existed for years, for decades, they're all over, and these super or mega data centers. That's the new complaint. And I agree with, okay, so regulate, demand they be refrigerant air cooled systems rather than using up water. Okay, that can be addressed. The electricity, these are big, huge centers. Make them put drum barrel wind generation and solar panels on their roof, so they're forced to come up with and produce as much of the own electricity they need before you allow them to build. So I agree, we need to maybe slow things down and talk about it a bit more, but they're not going to be stopped. There's no stopping them. And if you stop it in your town, you get no benefit, but it's in the next town over. So you get the negative, but they get the positive. So, you're going to chop off your nose to spite your face, go right ahead.
I don't know who's ultimately getting the positive and the negative, these things, these mega data centers. I mean, they're when they put them up, they permanently destroy farmland if they're built on farmland. They
yes,
so there are a lot of potential drawbacks. So maybe the people that get it are the ones who ultimately end up losing. It can also affect property values. You only end up with maybe 150 actual workers in these mega data centers at the end of it. You get a lot of jobs initially for construction and so on, but just to run them, not really that many jobs in the end.
It's mostly security to secure the building. There aren't and a few janitors. There aren't that many workers long term. I agree. That's one of the lies they sell about it.
And generally, what we're finding is that in most communities where these things are going up, people are waking up one day to find that this stuff has already been sort of pre-approved, no community consultations. This seems to be a pattern that's happening across the United States and repeating even here in Canada. So
in Alberta,
the public really not being involved in this. These communities are sort of like waking up and it's like, holy crap, where did this data center plan come from? They're already ready to break ground and we haven't even had, proper consultation or anything like that. In addition to that, these tech bros, they've gone to see Donald Trump and they have they've gone to him and they're really using their leverage with him to make sure that they're not regulated.
National security issue to
China. There's that, but it's like, holy crap, it's like they don't want any regulation at all.
And I'm for regulation.
Gas, no brake, right? And Michael,
I'm generally against government regulation, but sometimes it's required. Like for the farmland, I'm against all these ethanol subsidies. I want farmland to be used to grow things to feed people, not as a frankenfuel for our gas tanks.
Yeah, well, we
'Cause
have an ethanol plant right
the-
here in my town, so I'm very familiar with
the whole
the
peak
issue,
oil thing, it was
Mhm.
a lie. It's not a fossil fuel. It is regenerative. Old wells can be reopened and
Yeah.
are somewhat replenished over time. It's a renewable. The whole fossil fuel peak oil thing has been proven to be a lie. So
Yeah.
there's no need for the Franken fuels.
We have another guest
Uh-oh.
joining us, but I think she's yelling at her cat or something. I'm not sure, so we'll let that
Ju- just
settle down. We'll
quickly
give her a
for
moment. Michael, I
just
just wanted to come back to you and ask you about that because on the one hand, you're saying you kind of have this pro or this sort of American aligned view, which would be general, like you're talking about protecting rights and freedoms,
Yeah,
but
Fourth Amendment.
also at the same time, the American approach here is pro business, anti government regulation, certainly on the conservative side of things, which is what Joseph just touched on here. And so when you say American, but then at the same time, you're really talking again about regulation. So it seems like it's a tug of war in
Well,
terms of coming to terms with it.
I wanted to, just before I'll remember my point, but Ian, you had a point, and then we'll come back if that's okay.
Well, quickly, the point was that I do remember that Trump has signed a executive order in 2025 that was basically blocking the red tapes for environmental checking. So basically, taking off the regulation in environmental for those
To
infrastructure.
prevent the lawsuits from forever blocking anything being built anywhere.
That's it.
That's data center or anything else. There's always somebody filing a lawsuit. Oh, we need a 10-year environmental impact study.
Yeah, and so to get back to clarify, my love of the American Constitution, John Locke's works, Life, Liberty, and Property, and social contract, and all of these Western values are based on individual rights. And I think that we all deserve our privacy. And I don't like all the flock cameras. I don't want to be surveilled. I also believe that individuals should be able to speak up and say something. And I get it. Sometimes you need to get some things done, and there are some things that are in the way. But in general, if your town doesn't want that there, they should have the opportunity to do that. And if you say they're going to go to the next town, well, then you're just giving in right away, because that's what what's that guy's name? George Soros said. Hey, well, why did you go and help the Germans steal from the Jews? Well, if I didn't do it, someone else would have. But imagine if everyone said, screw you, like, I'm not doing it. That's wrong. Imagine if everybody said that, then you truly will have change, right? But as long as people are going to say things like, oh, well, if I don't do it, someone else will. Well, then they might be right or not, but at least you're morally correct. And when you stand in front of Jesus, you can say, hey, I stood with my values that were right and according to your laws. So we need to start doing those things. And I'm not I'm an environmentalist in the same way that, I don't think we need to study for like 15 years and block everything. But what I really do want to see is hey, have you studied the EMF on this? Once you get that, hey, if it takes you 10 years, tough crap. I want that report. If you can do it in 2 years and prove that your methodology is correct, great, we'll break ground. If you can prove that it's not causing other harm to the environment, if you can prove that you're not burning out all the water, if you can prove you're not going to suck the grid dry because you built your own mini nuclear reactor for your plant, then that's fine. But I am an environmentalist in the sense I don't want forever chemicals, and I don't want dangerous substances. I hate glyphosate being sprayed in places. I hate the fact that you've got PCB companies on Lake Nipissing and nobody says anything. But CO2 is going to kill us. If you don't have CO2, you can't have life. And so I just hate the hypocrisy there. I'd like to start looking after our planet in a smart way that helps our economics and not help all the monopolies like the tech bros and the oil oligarchs or whoever these people are. I want to see people have the right to have their say. And if your product's so good, everyone will agree, right?
Mhm.
Right? If it sucks, then it sucks and you shouldn't do it, right? So I don't know why we have to have all this extra regulation to say skip things that could end up being 10 years from now. Oh yeah, gee, sorry, we skipped that. We didn't check. Yeah, sorry, all your kids died of cancer at 12 years old. We didn't know the EMF would do that, right? Like at some point we have to be responsible, right? Like I don't want to be there, the Karen that sits there, oh, I hate this, I'm going to screw it up for 20 years so they can't do it. I'm not that guy either, but I am the guy that due diligence to prove to me the value of this to me as a person and to our community, that you will not hurt us, it will not cost us more, and it will make our lives better. If not, why the hell are we doing it? Right? Like, so I don't know. I don't know what to say. I kind of agree with Joe a little bit, but not to the extent of like, carte blanche. Yeah, just go mental, balls it all down, throw it in, do it.
I'm certainly not arguing for that. And we're talking Christian stewardship, true conservationism, not envirotardism, planet worship idiocy. I've got several shows of my Christitutionalist podcast about conservationists. Indeed, we are to be good stewards of the land.
But
so
that is,
I'm with you on that. But yeah, there have to be limits and reasonable give and take.
but that's what's happening in these communities, and extensive reports in community after community. The environmental assessments just bypassed. Trump has helped these tech companies just do a complete end run around these regulations because they are just like, this is turbocharged, this is full bore, got to get this done, emergency kind of reaction. I don't know if have you seen the map on the Aaron Brockovich site with all of the dots with how, do you know, I'll bring it up. I think this is, if you haven't seen it, it'll blow your mind how fast this has happened.
I think that we were drifting too far to collectivism and corruption at high levels and monopolies, things like that. I think that we need to really get back to having individual rights that are sacred, that they can't just go in and close your bank account, or like some of the bills in Canada are insane. Like I can just cut your internet off for no reason. Like I think they fixed it so that at least there's a safeguard, but I just don't want to see all of this collective Borg mind just go in and do stuff, and you don't know what the health effects are. That's what concerns me.
We kind of lost our configuration on our.
Oh, hey, yeah, 2 dudes are missing.
Yeah, well, we'll get the dudes back. There's. Okay, now we have the 4 dudes. And
we have environmental impact.
Do we have Angie here? Yeah.
Of data centers, years, decades they've existed. The new super or mega centers are the ones that are at issue or at question.
Yeah, I would have to clarify.
Are you there, Angie?
I am. Yep.
Are you going to use your camera or your incognito?
Cue the Stones. Angie.
Yeah, for some reason my camera isn't working on this. You took my point there, though, Rick. I was going to talk about Aaron Brockovich, and when you pissed off that environmentalist, you obviously have something on the go because she's investigating and tracking the rapid expansion of all the AI data centers in the U.S., and she's actually doing this crowdsourced mapping. Yeah. And it's super concerning because it's massive daily water consumption. And even if we did go with some sort of coolant system, that's still going to take up a whole bunch of energy. And, we're supposed to reduce energy. We ended up getting a massive Site C in our BC Peace region that everyone was against. And like, if we keep going with this, are we going to have enough energy? And are those things so important? Are they more important than hospitals? Or, I think it has to be, Michael said it best. We need to look at things and measure, like, do we really need these? And the thing is I trust that all of us have used AI in one form or another today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We were just having a conversation with Grok.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm worried about AI and using it too much. You guys, I don't know, you guys all had those flip phones and the regular dial phone in the kitchen, right? And you knew everybody's phone number, everybody's now. How many phone numbers do you know?
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Literally my dad's. That's it. I know my dad's. That's it.
I do worry about the further dumbing down, because indeed, at the younger generation becomes more dependent and reliant on, just let AI do it. Let AI do their thinking for them. That is a problem too.
Mm-hmm.
These are all, things that we need to consider. Yeah.
And with regards to the data centers, yeah, he's totally correct. I'm a programmer as well, and I've worked at a couple of the data centers for TD, and they're usually like some white building that nobody notices. They're no bigger than a small plaza, right? Like they're probably like a 3-4 story office building and a normal size parking lot. What we're talking here is complete neighborhoods, like total hundreds and hundreds of what is it, 50 square miles, things that big. Like, what's that going to do to our environment? Like, I just don't like taking chances on things that I can't see the ROI on. It's not like, oh my gosh, if we don't do this, half the people in Canada will die. Like, it's not. It's like, hey, I'm a tech bro. I can make millions of dollars. This is awesome. But what are the consequences to Angie, I, or Joe, or Ian, or yourself, Rick? What are the consequences, right?
Elon is talking about the possibility of remote space data centers. It's cool in space. The cooling would be done up there, and it would be off planet, so the EMF would be less of an issue too. I would think that would be a massive increase in the cost to have to lift all that up into space or low Earth orbit to do that. But that might be something that helps alleviate some of the issues if Elon wants to do his data centers that way.
I just don't like the idea of all the flock cameras and all these cameras and all this AI and the talk of the social credit system and things like that. I just feel like they're just building another piece. And then as soon as you get pissed off at it, they'll come up with stuff like, oh, well, we'll do our own water. Oh, well, we'll do our own. And meanwhile, you haven't addressed the privacy issue. You're not telling us you're circumventing the Fourth Amendment and privacy rights, medical privacy rights, everything. Like, I don't want people to see that I walked out the door, got my mail, came back. Oh, I went to this place. Oh, I talked to Rick. I'm being tracked enough as it is, and I don't want to do it. And so to me, I think the data center is a threat more to civil liberties and freedom than it is maybe even medically. Like, it might even be more dangerous that way. And if not, it's equal to the medical issues and harms that it can cause. Like, go put it in space. Yeah, okay, great. It costs more. Okay, deal with it. But it still doesn't stop the underlying fact that they're putting up cameras everywhere. And they need these data centers for those cameras. So they're not getting these data centers here just for fun, right? It's not just to make movies on AI. This is going to have a huge impact on humanity, right? We're going to see for the first time in our entire lives that each time in the Industrial Revolution, or as man produces or produces a new technology and it innovates life, and usually it makes it better, and in other ways it doesn't. But you'll notice that, okay, so now we don't need 100 horses going through the valley because we created steam engine, right? And then the steam engine became a tractor and various other ways. So now we've lost a few jobs, but they were able to go in other places. And it's always been a replacement of physical labor. This will be the first time that we replace the human mind, right? The engineers, the lawyers, the doctors, the accountants, right? This is the first time in our history in humankind that the middle class will be affected. It's not just a few jobs down on your blue collar working or lower blue collar laborer stuff. We're talking guys going to work as programmers, as engineers, and this is going to have a profound effect on our economy as well. And do we really want to go there? Right? Like what does it serve? That I need everything faster, right? Is that it? Everything has to be fast and convenient, or can we just go back to actually communicating with each other and having humans do things, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm so annoyed at those stupid press 1 if you're doing this, press 2 if you're doing that. I want to go talk to a human. And I just think that this is a further approach to
Louisiana
disenfranchise from each other.
Louisiana is turning their 911 system over to AI. Had you seen that in the news?
I have not seen that in the news, but I am not trusting AI. I use it for things, and it's really good, especially grunt work, right? Like, hey, take all this information and here's my template. Just, make it look pretty and do it, or researching, instead of you searching 20 Google things, you all of a sudden can have a summary with a few links, right? It has some uses to it that way, but I'm very scared that if we keep using it too much, like my analogy or metaphor to dialing, like we're just going to lose our jobs. We're going to lose our capability to think. And maybe that's the goal. They just want a bunch of slaves, feudalism 2.0. Led by the tech bros. I don't know, but I just feel very uncomfortable about data centers, smart meters, cameras everywhere, digital money. I hate all this stuff, and I don't know what to do about it. Can we fight? I don't know. Joseph thinks that we just got to go along with it and try to make it better for us. But me, I'd like to see an end to it all personally. Whether that's possible or not, I'm not sure. But if I don't try, or people don't try, it'll never happen. That's the kind of guy I am, right? The second you give up on your hope or your dream, that's the moment it dies. That's the moment it's never going to happen, right? So I don't know what to say about that. I'm very emotional about not having data centers and being spied on.
I think these machines look amazing now.
Why are we getting feedback loop? That's weird.
Angie.
I think it's Cian.
Okay, Angie, talk.
Yeah.
I said, I think the Amish community is looking better and better.
Yeah.
Truly, because they're, they are just starting to allow some batteries and electricity in some of the old Amish. They're also permitting, and also too, can I ask you guys, and anyone out there, how often is AI wrong?
A lot.
It's a wrong a lot. So I've had,
it's
people
based on biased, faulty information that it's modeling as it's, So garbage in, garbage out.
Completely. And also too, it goes to show if anyone claims that they're an expert or they're of influence, I realize that they say that's not what it takes. But I can tell you this, as a person who is looking for a new RV, you go through and you ask, what are the best kind of pipes and stuff so they don't leak? And what are the best kind of connections? And all of a sudden I'm given all of this information that's absolutely incorrect. I've gone and talked to numerous different RV techs, and they're like, I've never heard of this stuff. So what happens is they're saying, hey, you don't want this kind of connection because they leak all the time, which that's not the case. It's maybe went through and it's grabbed 10 different stories of how this one kind of connection has leaked, but there's 100,000 of these units. So if there's 10 over 100,000, that's really not that big of a deal. But also too, point out, how many people got sick from a certain jab. Though it's super important to those 10 people. It's not to the other, 90,000.
As I already said earlier, as a former IT guy, Pat Kolbeck is an engineer, a NASA engineer, a literal rocket scientist. So he's been on in the studies. So yes, definitely, there are people who are more susceptible to issues with spike proteins regarding the you-know-whats. There are people who are more susceptible to issues with EMF regarding 5G or smart meters and may be affected by a mega data center in their area. But as you said, Angie, it's parts per million. It's what's the acceptable rate is what's going to be the argument, as you already made, Angie, in your plumbing example.
Yeah, and we can go back to why we don't have pipelines through our BC North right now is because people didn't want challenges to their drinking water. So now we're going to put up AI data centers instead. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So, and we're going to use our natural resource water. Like, no offense, but how renewable is that resource when this year specifically we don't have enough of it in the Okanagan? We're on level 2, sometimes 3 drought stage in the Okanagan, whereas one province over Alberta has a ton of water. So it all just depends. And, it's like anything. Our laws and our bylaws are never caught up to whatever technology is happening, whether that was seatbelts, whether that's, paved roads, or whether that's, we've seen a lot in the porn industry where all of a sudden now, they're trying to say, hey, we're doing our very best. Well, you should have did your very best 10 years ago when you started these things. So, and I just think that, it still goes back to the parents. I 100% agree. And it goes back to us as responsible individuals. But the challenge is some of us are not responsible. Some of us don't give a flying flip about our neighbor or our community. And quite frankly, some of us don't have community. Some of us are elitists that, run these big companies and all they're doing is trying to get money for them and their shareholders. So, some of our telecommunication companies are perfect examples. Canada pays some of the highest telecommunications around in the world. And we've had other people try to come in and change this, and it's never worked. And ours is regulated, right? So there's so many different avenues to look at this. And while I want freedom, I also want it all to be fair and competitive. And I'd love to say we have competitive telecommunications, but that's just not the case.
Regarding the water thing, as an IT guy, what brainiac thought it a good idea? And I no doubt think it's got to be an economics issue. They found a way to do it cheaper, water cooling in some way. What moron thinks it's a good idea to have a bunch of water around electronic equipment? Pipes leak, pipes burst, and your multi-million-dollar data center, part of it, if it gets flooded, then you've got millions or billions of dollars of equipment that have been turned to mush. I don't get this whole concept of, let's use water in these massive data centers. It's a moronic concept on its face to get water around electronics.
So, and then there's another thing to think about.
It's called a radiator.
Should they
I don't understand the concern. It's a radiator.
Should they put these in the ground though?
Not cooling.
Sorry, what?
So should they put these in the ground though? So if we have a lot of, and I can't remember the term, but how houses are using the area around them, so they dig deeper so that their water and heating are more environmentally sound. And so they aren't taking as much heat off the grid. They're not using I can't remember what that term is called.
Geothermal.
Exactly. So can we not do that? Or is it too dangerous? And who's checking these things? Like, No offense, but if Erin Brockovich is on this, there's something wrong with it because she's no dummy.
Well, it's just I don't understand what it doesn't matter that much. The water use is a big issue. In Alberta, they're saying that they're using a closed loop system, which is similar to a system on a
water would be
where it's just
recycled.
recycled
But
over and over
again,
again.
it's called a radiator.
The systems. It is a radiator. That's what it is.
As you said, Rick,
a gigantic radiator.
Still takes air cooling to cool down the closed loop system.
Yeah, and a Volkswagen Bug uses and has an air cooled engine. You can make an internal combustion engine with air cooling. But
we've advanced since the radiator days. HVAC. Why are we going back to old technology? Economics, probably.
It's partly economic. It's I don't know what the science and the physics would be behind it. I'm sure there are reasons for using liquid cooling. That's why today automotive engines use liquid cooling, because it's more efficient. There are a lot of advantages to using liquid cooling versus
an advanced cooling, right? Advanced coolant.
So,
but not don't use just
and
water.
You're talking, even though in Alberta they're talking about this, saying, oh, it only uses as much water as a golf course annually. The other issue is if you have a closed loop system in Alberta where it's very cold, I'm quite certain that they're probably mixing ethylene glycol with the water at some ratio, and probably some other chemicals in there as well to properly lubricate the pumps that are running the coolant through the system and all of that. So that becomes, very contaminated. But so too do we do that with our cars and our jets and our all kinds of other machinery. And that stuff has to be reclaimed, and then it's supposed to be properly disposed of and or recycled so that you remove the chemicals from the water ultimately. But I know that a lot of that still ends up in the environment. It gets spilled out and it gets into the water supply, and it's very, very toxic. So it's like Michael said, a lot of that stuff is forever chemicals. These are big concerns for people. And, it's not that, I don't know if people are aware of this, but when this is also a scientific fact, like every drop of water on the planet today, we have exactly the same amount of water on the planet today as we did when the Earth was created. Mine is whatever water has been carried into outer space on spacecraft and expelled. So when it's evaporating, like that water goes into the atmosphere, and while that may affect water supplies, reservoirs or lakes or streams, whatever, in a particular community, it does go back into the environment. It's not like the planet loses it, but it does disrupt the local environment. And, it can disrupt the ecosystem there, the wildlife. It can actually dry up entire lakes if you use enough of it, and it just evaporates into the atmosphere because that gets carried away and it rains someplace else. So it's not that the planet loses the water, but locally it can completely destroy things.
Your point,
and you're
competing. Climate shift.
And in a lot of these communities, especially in the southern U.S., where you have arid conditions, they're moving water down to those communities, those areas already from northern locations, by various means with dams and so on, to then pipe the water in. And if then they're competing, or sometimes they have, with the water backed up in certain areas into artificial man-made lakes, which they draw from for agriculture. And Angie, I know that in BC, they're pulling water from the mountains and so on. But now farmers competing for precious resource, water. And you're talking about water rights. And I think, actually, I just thought of this. There's some big dispute right now between Canada and the U.S. over water rights out there. Isn't there somewhere?
Funny enough. So it's right near Edgewood. So the Arrow Lakes, it's also the Columbia River. And so they have been taking a lot of water over the last, decade. And we've been challenged because Like this year, we did not have a snow cap. Like we knew we were going to way back in February. It did not snow enough. And so this has been a challenge because there's ferries that go across the Columbia River, and they're super challenged, and they report on this all the time. And so that's one thing. And we've always said we don't think our next war is going to be over oil and gas. We think it's going to be over water. And because we did a really unfair deal for us Canadians on that. So we're struggling in some fisheries. We're struggling with some natural habitats. And like this year especially. So the North Okanagan, that's like Vernon, Armstrong, their farmers are absolutely restricted to either 70 or 30% of what they're allowed to normally irrigate because our snow cap is so challenged. And like that, friends of mine, their farms are like, they thought they were going to lose all their crops. And what happened is some other people were kind enough to do what's called water sharing. So they shared their allocation of water. And you know, with this year, like we're looking around, go and look in any of our creeks right now in the Okanagan. It's insane how much water we don't have. It's some of the lowest that any of us have ever seen. And, you know, you can go on record for the last 100 years. This is one of the worst for moisture and water. It's scary.
We should have been building desalination plants decades ago. And it's the same thing with the U.S. and Mexico, an argument of Mexico using more than allotted under treaty water. But to Rick's point, Antarctica. Now, yeah, it's shedding ice around the edges, but Antarctica as a whole, as a mass, there's more ice than ever. So there's micro, macro, and there's climate shifting going on. It isn't climate change. It's always what it's always been, climate shifting.
Well, it's disruptive when any kind of new giant industry moves into town and starts competing for resources. Even if you want to talk about energy prices, even though these data centers are trying to reassure people saying, we're going to produce our own energy. So you don't need to worry about, you know, disruption to the grid or higher electricity prices. That isn't really going to be true because they're ultimately competing for, it increases demand for energy. And so if they're generating the electricity, even on site, but using natural gas and oil, as most of these facilities, and certainly in Alberta, I think that is going to be the case, then you're increasing demand for fossil fuels, for energy, for oil, natural gas. That increases the demand. Nukes. It's a commodity. The increased demand means it will increase the price unless you can increase production. But these data centers, and you just saw the map, how many of these things are being constructed or are in the works across the United States, over 1,500 already, just getting started. And how much? And some of those, a lot of them, so big that they'll be like energy sponges, soaking up as much energy as an entire city, every single one of them.
Well, they do.
This is going to be an exponential increase in energy production and demand, and therefore higher prices for everyone.
And you know what? How you know that the climate is a grift? It's a climate grift, is because they're doing this, right? If they truly were like, oh, climate change, you know, protect the environment, there would not be a data center anywhere, nowhere. If they truly believed it, they wouldn't be driving jets indiscriminately to go get special ice cream and visit for a weekend in Italy. Okay, if they truly believed it. So I think it's all a big scam. And I think that we as a society need to start, you know, getting our power back. We're delegating our power to these individuals that don't serve us. They serve corporations, they serve UN agendas, the WEF, whoever all these guys are that believe in, you know, one world government. You guys are just peons. And I think that we need to start taking that back, because what I'm really scared of is you get 1 million cameras up, you get all these data centers, our prices go up, all of a sudden everyone's broke and poor, and then here comes the government. Oh, take digital ID. Oh, CB digital currency that I can turn off if I don't like what you're doing. Oh, and by the way, I'm watching you every second, so you better not say anything about it. That really scares me. You think about that movie with Hal. I think it was Space Odyssey 2001. Well, that's not a joke. That's not fantasy. That's quite a reality. We've even seen that in AI so far, where they have simulations where he thinks he's going to get shut down, and he'll cheat and do anything he can to not get shut down. So that, like, we're playing with fire here.
That's because of human modeling. The AI is trained on human modeling. AI sees from the model data, humans lie, humans cheat. So why the bleep wouldn't the AI we created adopt its masters lying and cheating?
Yeah, and the other thing is too that some of them are sentient. Like, we haven't even reached that yet. So you'll have a model, you train it, and you're like, yeah, figure out how to write C# code better, or do weather models or whatever. Eventually, they're going to be smart enough that they can learn on their own, right? And and who's to guarantee that learning will benefit mankind, right? Maybe it'll be self-preservation where they think we're a threat and come after us potentially, like Hal did, right?
Well, there's a hell of a lot of money being pumped into this, and most of it, from what I'm seeing, is either from the tech side or from the energy side. There's a lot of oil money being dumped into this right now to not just build these centers, but also to promote it, to launch public information campaigns. And as much as it pains me to single out Rebel News again, I don't know, here in Canada, Joseph, you would not be aware of this, likely not seeing it, but I don't know if you guys have been seeing what Rebel has been doing with regard to this issue in the last few weeks in particular. It doesn't feel like news coverage. It sure looks a hell of a lot like promotion to me and damage control, because they know they have a PR problem out there in Alberta. So, I've seen Ezra Levant driving up and down the road where the newest, biggest, most controversial one is being built, or the most current project, I guess. And he's it looks like a sales pitch. He's been to a couple of protests. And while a lot of these people, the protests would be normally supporters because they're kind of on that side of the political spectrum and viewers of his programs, he's kind of finding himself in a way at odds, because he's just like he's basically they've taken a pro AI data center stance. And I think a lot of it is because it's just about the money, it's the jobs, it's the the narrative of all of that, right? And so you can kind of put two and two together and kind of see why they're doing what they're doing, and you can jump to your own conclusions, I guess. We don't really know everything going on behind the scenes, but I see it like a slant to the coverage. And for me, that just it looks again like a campaign more than news coverage. But I'll throw it to you, and if any observations or comments.
I haven't seen that particularly. But yes, definitely. We've seen it with our political parties. We've seen it with municipal, whatever it is. The big landowner, real estate guy buys off and schmoozes the local news, and and they got the mayor in their pocket. And so that is very realistic. Well, I can't personally comment on it, but it's definitely plausible. It's not like, whoa, Rick, you're totally out to lunch. That would never happen. Definitely not that. I just can't validate that I've seen it. But the other interesting thing I think that can come to play is when we had the railroads, it was a frenzy. Right? It was a frenzy. Everyone, oh my gosh, railroads are the future. We got to do it. We got to do it. And you had all these companies and all this capital being pushed in, and then it becomes bigger than the market, and you have a crash, right? You had all those bankruptcies of certain railroad companies, consolidation, things like that. And then we've seen the same thing happen with the fiber optics and the .com boom, right? Like, oh, pets.com, oh, beer.com. Oh my gosh, we're going to make so much money. I got to put my money in. I got to put my money. So I'm personally of the adage, I wouldn't touch an AI stock if you paid me. I think
definitely a bubble. Definitely a bubble that
yeah,
will burst at some point.
I'm thinking we're in a huge bubble, and I wonder if we even need to fight it in some ways. Or I mean, maybe yeah, we do need to fight it, but I really believe that I think there's going to be a crash because of that bubble.
Like
I
the
think,
.com, yes.
yeah, and I also, and sorry to flip over to finance, but it made me start to think about some of the reasons why I'm investing in certain things and not. And it also makes me feel that because everybody's doing that, we're not putting money in other spots that might benefit society more. But that's capitalism, right? People think they can make money and everyone takes their risks and they go for it. But it's taking money away from everything else, possibly, right? Like this other company might have a new solar panel, or this other company might have a new medical procedure. And so I think it's also detrimental in a sense, although it is pure capitalism, right? You think this is going to make money, you invest in it. But I do think there's a bubble, and I just wanted to put that out there. That
it's more than a bubble, Michael. It's a dangerous thing, because it's actually AI that is driving the economy right now. If you look at the economic data, like last month they lost, I think, 28,000 jobs on the U.S. side, and the growth is all on the AI. And even the data center side. That's where the investment is. That's what's driving the stock market. That's what's pushing everything up. But it's pretty clear that we're in a situation that's very similar to the .com bubble. So yeah, when it bursts, we could be in a world of hurt.
Yeah,
an interesting take on it, sorry to interrupt, Michael, is that for the past 20 years, the Okanagan Valley has been a little tech area. And right now we have the highest unemployment rate in Canada. So you have to balance some of those things. And we have vacancies in rentals that we've never had before. So there's numerous things that we're challenged by. And so I think that community is super important in regards to business. And when you have tech companies or people that are outside of the community, they really don't invest in your local community. And so what happens, especially with our tax system that's went haywire, specifically in BC for small and medium-sized businesses, what happens is those fellas sell because they want to get out of the market. They can see that things are failing, and all of a sudden we just have corporations here instead of small mom and pop businesses or medium-sized businesses that have been around for 30 or 40 years. And so that's another thing that happens. So we end up reducing the amount of employees. We don't have as many investments in our local communities and not-for-profits. And that really is challenging, especially right now when we don't have water, when we have forest fires everywhere. So when you think of one thing, it just keeps going and hitting so many other things that we're sitting here. And now, like, thankfully, we haven't been talking about data centers around in the Okanagan. But can you imagine if someone had a big idea to bring it? Like, it would be detrimental to us.
Yeah, I think that there's another factor as well. And yes, I agree. Like, dude, you guys, you don't have the water, you don't have the facilities. You definitely would be hurt much more than some other communities. But I think with regards to the tech, I think what's been happening in the last 5 to, and maybe even longer, is offshoring all of our jobs. When was the last time you spoke to somebody that knew how to speak English, right? At a call center, right? I mean, we still have people, right? Usually if you go and ask for the French people, they can get better English than you do on the English one. But that's because what's happening is we're bringing in foreign workers and we're also shipping their jobs off. I remember in 2013 at Royal Bank, they got busted. They said, oh yeah, we can't do this anymore. We're not doing this anymore. This department's gone. And then you find out that they moved the department to India, right? And there was 1,400 jobs, right?
And do you know what's super interesting to that? So recently, a couple of our top telecommunications company got caught for taking those voices using AI to make them sound more English speaking, number one. But number two, and this is something I would love someone to research. So if you go and look and see where we have taken our call center jobs, then go and look and see where our just the scams are coming from, the phone scams, the online scams. I guarantee you that those are happening in the same venues, because in places like Nigeria, sometimes the Philippines, especially India, they do not have copyright laws. They do not have the legal privacy laws there. So they work 6 days a week, number one. So there's all of these things now that have been shipped out of the country, and you're literally giving all my personal information to someone from another country that doesn't have the same privacy laws as me.
Yeah, that's definitely a big issue. And I haven't really thought of it that way too, right? Because our data should stay private here. It should be decentralized instead of trying to make a digital ID that talks to everything. That's super dangerous, because it's like Lord of the Rings, the one ring to control all the rings. You should never have one ring that controls all the rings, right?
But just a quick side note to that is that, have you guys tried to call any of our top communication companies? No word of a lie. I spent 14 hours trying to call 2 of them to switch my phone over early this spring, and they only work between 9 and 5 now. What are my hours at work? So then I finally get on my way home, leave a little bit early, call, and all of a sudden 6 o'clock comes around. I'm still on. So I've held for more than 2 hours before to go, our call center is now closed. So I need to literally park my butt at work, take a full hour off, and try to connect with someone. And then 2, if you're online with them, that's fine. But all of a sudden, if you have to do something, like, it has been an absolute gong show. So we went from 24-hour communication with our tech companies or with anyone. Now we're relying on AI. And I can tell you from my experience, AI is not always accurate.
No, almost all of those jobs will soon be replaced by AI. And as it becomes better at doing those kinds of jobs, they're going to get rid of humans, because human labor is one of the largest costs to all business.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. I like what I really like Ford, and the original Ford, not Gerald Ford. I didn't like him at all. But he basically realized that his market was people. And what he did is he paid everybody very well so that they could afford a car. And in doing so, he created this big market of people that can now have all this great freedom to be able to travel. And I don't understand how you're going to have all these robots, and who's paying, who's buying. Like, are we just going to be slaves, or how is it going to work? Like, how are you going to make money? Right? This AI guy talks to this other AI guy, and who's making the money? Who's going to buy the clothes? Who's going to buy the music? Who's going to buy the car? Who's going to buy the land? Who's going to buy anything? Right? So we're entering uncharted territory, and we're entering it at blazing speed. And that's my point about the data centers as well. Right? And AI. We don't have any ethics around it built. We don't have any information to help us guide to make laws. Like, as libertarian as I am, I still believe you got to have laws like don't kill people and don't steal and private property rights and things like that. So I'm not an anarchist libertarian. I'm kind of a softer libertarian who wants individual rights. And I think that what really, really makes me sad is that the American Constitution is being compromised. Our own Canadian Charter, our own Western civilization, our Magna Carta rights, our God-given rights, and they're all being just usurped, right? Like through AI data centers, through all these things that they're trying to just consolidate everything into one thing. And I don't like that. I'd love to see a decentralized society that was more on the basis of your community. Because if we had our taxes back, we're paying more taxes than we are for food, shelter, and necessities. If we had that money back, do you not think that Joe might give a few extra bucks to the church that's feeding the hungry? You don't think that we'd be able to look after people better? I mean, we had no taxes, and we had roads, buildings, education. We had all these things without taxes.
But also, we all helped each other out. This is a big ordeal here. So I remember when I grew up and I was playing softball, boys and girls alike, we had to go and help and and granted, my cousin was one who did the greens. We sometimes had to go and help and put sand down. So now what we do is we pay to play. It doesn't matter if you're working, if it's recreation or whatever, and then you get mad when it's not in great shape. I think we have to go back to the days where you actually volunteer. You don't just give money to play ball. You don't just give money to play hockey. You don't just give money to play soccer. Give some time. Show the kids how to invest, how to be responsible community members.
That's the whole Overton window moving to the left. As Constitutionalist podcasts, I talk about this all the time. Biblical community, voluntary, free will, as you said, our own blood and treasure, helping, wanting to be our brothers and sisters keepers, and volunteering to do things. As you said, it's the worldly communism that insists everything must be a paid job. Government knows best and can control everything. And we all know anything government does, it does worse than the private sector or the charitable, even more important sector.
I think we all can admit too, in regards to our forest fires, when we allow the contractors, the farmers, or the indigenous to get involved in attacking the forest fires and managing the forest, doing indigenous burns of the land, we're all better off, because what happens is, specifically in the BC interior, is when our logging contractors and locals attack a fire, it's over and done with. And then what happens is they'll say, hey, come on, we're here now, we're going to take over, and our contractors and locals say no. So I hear what you're saying. We can't rely on the government, and that's the one thing I'm big on, is we do need to rely on community. But another point to just quickly get to is that, Michael, you mentioned music. So our AI, everyone's heard that song about San Juan. It ended up being a top song all around, North America. It had a really good groove. And then all of a sudden, all my friends who've been musicians, who actually have worked hard at their craft for years, that I've paid money to go and see, or worked for some of them in some capacity, all of a sudden their talents are not there. And, we in Canada, I was brought up and worked in the radio broadcast industry for 25 years. We have to pay 35% CanCon to have, same as television, you have to have a certain percent of CanCon. Now that doesn't really matter. And so we've had all of these regulations, and you can debate if they're good or not, but I can tell you this, you wouldn't know Bryan Adams, you wouldn't know Shania Twain, or a number of Canadian artists, around the world, even in Canada, if we didn't have that. So that's another concern where you don't even think about this anymore, because I challenge you, when was the last time you listened to an actual radio?
Well, I think we would know Bryan Adams and whatnot, but I'm a fan of Kim Mitchell. I don't think anyone would know Kim Mitchell without the CamCon protections. But you're right, streaming now kind of allows a backdoor around the CamCon content if you don't want it forced upon you.
Well, that's what these some of these bills passed by the federal government in Canada have been designed to address. And then, of course, the Canadian government, under a lot of pressure from the Trump administration, they don't want any of those kind of regulations. They don't want anything in place that would it's being portrayed as censorship, right? And I think that's an issue that you're kind of focused on, Michael.
Yeah, so I don't like censorship at all. I'm not responsible for your feelings, right? And you're not responsible for mine. You should be able to say something, and if I think you're a total idiot, that's fine. You should have that right to say that, and then all of us can figure it out. So yeah, I'm against censorship. I'm not sure how you would protect Canadian culture. In some ways, I think that Canadian culture, the protection of it, is actually to create propaganda, at least in the sense of the CBC and other newscasters or broadcasters in Canada, because we pay them so much. They make no money, and they always parrot the government's thing. There's nothing
That's
about
any
Canadian
influencer now as well, right? It's
Mhm.
literally any influencer, any person that gets paid by clicks, shares, and likes. That's including Rebel News.
And that
Mhm.
includes people who are being paid by foreign governments too, that you may not be aware of, or none of us maybe know, because private bank accounts are private, and so if money's flowing in, you don't know. And there are ways to avoid detection of that as well. But the Canadian content rules have largely been in place too, like literally for Canadian culture. And Angie's point, I think, very important, because I think she's quite right that a lot of Canadian artists, musicians, would never have had any airplay, or never would have.
Actors,
Actors,
shows, all TV shows, but something to really think about here too is specifically with Meta. How many times have you gone on a social media and bloody well it's a fake ad, or that like Oprah and Dr. Oz are not sponsoring that, right? And so why don't we hold those organizations accountable for making up this fake ad and this fake content, or the people that are scamming online now, taking advantage of all different ages of citizens, saying that whether it's a betting site, an investing site, a crypto site, or whatever, like that's the real challenge I have, is like, not only do I hold the countries accountable who we've shipped out our call centers to, but I also hold Meta and all the other agencies accountable for allowing us, like Canadian, American, and whatever else citizens are on there, being ripped off for tens of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars, when we have that. So, is that a business that should not be stopped? And
Is that
that they're
censorship, or
happening.
is that controlling false advertising? And where is the line? What's the difference between that and some sort of false information, fake information, outright lies, even on a political level? If someone is lying maliciously, should that just be allowed? Or is that any different than having and we've seen this just in the last month, a woman losing, I think, $200,000 because she responded to a fake ad with Mark Carney. Like, so if you censor that, is that censorship, or is that nipping false advertising in the bud? Like, how do you distinguish?
That's a really good question. I'd like to hear Michael's answer from that. So, for example, I was with my mom who got her air ducts, and we're going to get all these calls now. And I am a moderator or admin on a couple of groups in the Okanagan. So now that we have fires, dang well that the duct cleaning companies are going to come up, because that's what they do every year. And they're all scams. And I was on the phone 3 weeks ago with one that keeps calling my mom. And so they said they live in Kelowna. They gave me a street that doesn't exist. They gave me another street, and then I said, let me talk to your manager. And the only way the guy started thinking is, I said, I hope this happens to your mother, your sister, and your grandma, because they are bloody well lying. They're not even in the country, and they're using local lines. So, I think there has to be, like, fraud is fraud. Theft is theft. But how the hell do we grab these guys? I don't know if you guys see recently, but there was an American, he's an American Asian fella. He went to India and he brought a whole bunch of people with him, and he didn't ransack, but he jumped into one of these call centers that he knew that were taking advantage of Americans, and they went and like shook things up there and scared the crap out of them all. Like, and there's one guy in the States, that's all he does is he phones the scammers back. But like, this is, I remember when Trudeau came into power, one of the things he did, he got the Indian government to go and take action on some of those call centers. How come no one else has done that? Like, that's 12 years ago now, 11 years ago.
Angie, to your point, fraud. I get upset when people quote the Supreme Court case, yelling fire in a crowded theater. That's a wrong example. That's not free speech. You have a right to an opinion, but when you're inducing fraud or inciting a riot under false pretense, that's not speech. That's fraud in the inducement. And there are and should be laws against that, and they need to be enforced.
I call that fomenting a coup.
And with traditional legacy broadcasters, for instance, there were always rules, laws, regulations in place to make sure that political parties had access to the airwaves. I don't think they do this anymore, but they used to do like once a week at least on CBC. Political parties would be given a short period of time to address the public, and all the political parties were given a fair amount of time in
Same
order to
amount of
deliver
time, yeah.
their message, right? But now with the internet, all of it's become the Wild West, and it's not really necessarily fair. In addition to that, you talk about censorship, but you also see people, Michael, I think the PPC even is concerned about foreign influence. Joseph, I think on the US side, concerns about influence from China, but here in Canada, I don't care what country it is, whether it's China, Iran, or even the United States trying to influence the politics up here. Foreign influence is foreign influence, and if it just flows back and forth across the border with no checks and balances, then you're just leaving yourself open to attack. And in fact, that's one of the concerns too, is that the funding has been cut on the US side since Trump has come back into office under Doge for cybersecurity, and that relates to propaganda. And Iran is very aggressive with that. That is a weapon, right? Propaganda, information warfare. It's a very real thing. That's why these laws and pieces of legislation are being introduced, especially here in Canada. And yet I see the people who are concerned about foreign influence also screaming bloody murder about the censorship that they view as parts of these bills. But it has to be a balance, and a lot of what goes on in the public, in the court of public opinion and in discussions and discourse, it becomes very emotional, and I think that these are legitimate issues, and I think that we do need some rules in place myself, some rules to deal with these things, because
we've gotten way off the data center topic.
Well, it's actually very much related to all of this, because these data centers is where all of this stuff is centered. AI replacing the jobs for the call centers, the propaganda. They're using AI now to.
Meta's the one that's opening up the call centers. Meta's the one that's allowing all of these scams to come up here. I'd like to know what you think about this, because you're a person. I believe in freedom of speech as well, but I also want to protect our elderly and other people that are getting ripped off. Obviously, my mom wasn't going to buy the duct cleaning service because she already had it. But it's absolute bullshit that these things are allowed to go on, and they're damn near impossible, because when they come across the phone, it looks like it's an Okanagan number not happening in India.
Call spoofing is a problem, yes, but fraud, libel, and slander are not free speech.
And I want to protect our democratic system. I want to make sure that we're protected from undue influence, where, do we really have a free and democratic system? Are people really voting with free will if they're being bombarded with propaganda? I mean, advertising, political messaging, it should come domestically from exterior sources. These are difficult issues. I'm not saying I've got the answers, but this is a new medium, and it's totally new territory. So trying to navigate through this and finding the right balance, the right mix of laws in order to preserve rights, but also to make sure that we have actual democracy, it's close, sort of, that means that people have to be going to the polls with hopefully accurate information, not just a bunch of lies and propaganda that's distorting reality.
Well, if you look at it this way also, I mean, if you don't have data center, you don't have trends either. If you look at the trends, that is composing exactly what Angie said earlier. Those are a very big cash cow, if you will, for the big tech. So
there's a whole other layer of real concern that we haven't even touched on here, and that's that the military applications of AI, and people see these data centers and they're thinking of it in terms of memes and social media, but no, these centers are being used for military purposes, research, for even maybe to guide drones for warfare. In addition to that, if you have an AI data center in your community, and if there was ever a war, those data centers very
Legit
likely would be
targets.
to
Yeah.
be legitimate military targets. So
Yep.
the data center in your town might just get blown to bits, and a lot of people may be killed along with it. That's a very real thing. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is look at what's going on right now with the war in Iran, because Iran has targeted AI data centers in neighboring countries, the UAE, Bahrain. They've hit those facilities, and Iran has said that they view those as legitimate targets, legitimate military targets. So that's a very real thing, and people should be aware of that. Not only that, but here in Canada, we've had long concerns about allowing nuclear weapons or not allowing nuclear weapons onto our soil. We haven't had them since they've removed those Bomark missiles years ago. But so, a lot of people opposed to that kind of thing. And I think if people knew that these data centers were being used for military purposes, they might not be as comfortable allowing them to come into their communities.
Well, look, to me, it all comes to another nuclear weapon sort of thing. Like we have said yesterday, it's so close to a nuclear weapon to the fact that, well, we don't know what it's going to do. The same way that once the nuclear weapon what was built during World War II, and they launched it into Japan on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, they didn't know exactly what would be the downturns of it. So that's basically it. And if you
Well,
look, I did send you a email a moment ago. It's the TY. There's a actually it's a report on the data center in Alberta, and also one that is going to be, I believe, in Calgary, which it was like made underneath the nose of the community and people, and basically kind of downturn the red lights and all the normal um, connection with the community. So
Here, I'll bring it up on the screen if I can get it. There it is there. So this is the one you just sent me.
Yep.
So they're highlighting.
Well, first, they're highlighting also the scale, because on the first paragraph, it says that there's a Rebecca McIntosh. She didn't know about the scale first when she received the letter from the CEO of Synapse. And when they came to know the scale of the center, they were outraged about it. And she's also a farmer, so there's the environmental impact of this also attached to it. So
yeah. So it says here, somebody saying, whoever's in this story, I'm just kind of skipping to the middle of it here, but says, my husband and I were drinking coffee and said, oh, I guess we're going to have some warehouses beside our home. That was the full thought process. It wasn't until February 24th, during a resident-led town hall, that McIntosh grasped the magnitude of Synapse's proposal. Quote, I'm sitting there hearing that one of the largest gas plants in Alberta could be going across the street from my house. McIntosh recalled, it was flabbergastingly shocking. In fact, what Synapse had planned for the hamlet of 10,000 people will be the largest AI data center of its kind in Canada, consuming as much electricity as used by the city of Edmonton. And the massive facility would be equipped with backup diesel generators that would kick in if the primary gas turbines failed. As other towns hosting similar AI facilities have learned, the complexes can strain local water supplies and pose a health hazard by generating noise and air pollution. This is from the Tyee. So again, they're just another example of people waking up in their community one day to find, oh my goodness, somehow this data center is coming to town, and it's already been basically pre-approved. We're being told, not consulted.
Yep. Nobody's being consulted. Only it's lobbyism. To me, it is plain lobbyism. Nobody's being told. If you say something about it, you're being told to just to shut up and take your pills and go home. And probably like in Ohio, I believe, on the same track of this data centers, that there's the other one in Ohio actually. Synapse have said, and Kevin O'Leary have said to the people, you're outsiders, you're not even from the town or the state, stuff like this, or you're just NIMBY, not in my backyard. So that's, it's shut the hell up and let the big guy does their thing.
And I keep hearing these arguments on the Canadian side saying we need these things built in Canada because we need digital sovereignty, was the word that I heard Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, use this past week, because we do have some of these facilities going in across Ontario too. But I'm not so sure that it even matters, because this data, this information, it just flows all around the world. Once you build these things, it's just going across the border.
Yeah, there's no real border to those. Yes.
So I don't know what the hell that even means.
Unless you're
sovereignty to a certain degree.
Yeah, unless if you're like China, where you make sure routers can prevent the cross-border traffic, like China censors the internet now. It can block such traffic from going out of their country and or coming in. And American companies have sold out and succumbed to the CCP desires.
But the way I see it, quickly, the way I see it, remember when Trump said, we're going to subsidize Canada, right? That's what he said. Well, doing this thing with the data center basically is using this as a Trojan horse, because there's no more territory anymore. There's no sovereignty between territories, because now your data is my data. So by de facto, there's no more rules of sovereignty.
Well, in fact, you've touched on something there very important, Ian, and that's if you know how, even intelligence services agencies, spies, for all countries, the way that they do a lot of this stuff to work their way around privacy laws in a country is they'll just get somebody in another country to tap a phone or dig into somebody's personal data. If you're in the States and you've got a law, you just wait for somebody to leave the country, and then you hack their phone while they're in another country, or you get somebody from another country to hack into their phone in the United States and then leak the data later or send it over to you later. It didn't happen from within the United States, so no law was actually broken. This is the way a lot of this stuff is done. And so you're building these data centers in Canada and in the US and in other countries, and the stuff is flowing across the borders. And this really does an end run around a lot of the privacy laws that any country has.
It is. Basically, you're just destroying all those. It's like a separation of power in a way. You're basically destroying them.
I'll tell you this too. If you think for 1 minute that any of your information is private, that's gone digital, that's out there in the internet, that's on a server anyplace, it's not, because some human being someplace has access to everything that you've got on there. If you're on a server anyplace, there's a human being who can access that, and that human being probably isn't like it doesn't have like some heavy duty security protocol on them. They're probably just an IT guy working in a data center and can access all this information. Like, that's the reality. If you have an email system anywhere, that somebody can see that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
right in the
false sense of
service.
security. If you think you've got any kind of privacy at all, you do not. It can be leaked.
It is. I mean, everything is buyable nowadays. All your information is just a penny away from another contender.
Mm-hmm. Whoever holds your email account, they can see everything you've got if they want to go look at it. Everything.
And if they don't like you, they can erase you, or they can do whatever they want to a certain
and if you
degree.
go with one of these, we're dedicated to privacy. Your data is safe with us. You can get your VPN and your email here. Well, somebody over at Proton has access to the server. They can see your stuff. So you better hope that they don't share it. And then, if the government really, if the CIA wants to go in there and get it, they'll get it.
The same way that they
or anybody.
The same way that they shared the information of the people in Alberta for
separation. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think it's super interesting too. If you've had anyone pass away in your family the last 5 or 6 years, and then you had to hop into either their computer or their phone, like Android is damn near impossible to get into, because once you make an error, it makes you wait like 30 seconds, then 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 8 minutes. But other people's, like, we've gotten into all of their stuff like right away. And I think, like, if I can do that when I'm just guessing passwords and trying to figure things out, and also too, if I have your phone and your computer, I can get into stuff. And it's super interesting, because all you need to do is it's going to text your phone to see if it's you, and you say yes, and now I can get into both. Like, that's legit how easy it is.
I've had my phone cloned. I've had my smartphone number stolen before, and I paid hell. It took weeks to get my own phone number back. And as you say, all my two-factor authentications went to the phone. So if they also managed to get into my email, they could get into any of my accounts.
Totally.
And every time you would change password, they would have a hold of that new password.
Yep.
So with these giant data centers going up, I think these risks are only going to be amplified. In addition to that, these data centers will be bringing to bear massive amounts of computing power. Using AI, they'll be able to crack passwords. They'll be able to utilize that power to just get around all the security systems. This is a big problem for banks. It's a big problem for the stock market. It's a big problem for everything. This could just destroy everything that we have in terms of the economy, our society.
We went from having all of our data stored in-house on the computer, on those big towers in the computer, to now, it's cloud storage. So that's what we all need this for. Like, if you think about how silly this is, we're talking about, privacy. Like, this is a huge thing. Like, if someone goes and this happened to me, I think 3 years ago, where someone broke into my doctor's car and stole her laptop. So she had to call us all and say, hey, by the way, just want to let you know this happened. So it's a data breach. And, we all got an email, anyone who went to her. So that's one sort of breach. But this is something that you can't tell me that every hospital, police, anyone that is of service, a frontline worker, mental health, addiction, like, you know what I mean? All of that information, is that all saved on a cloud in those data centers?
Well, in addition to that, it's about access to this power, computing power will dictate who comes out a winner and a loser later. And you're seeing that play out right now with what happened with Truth Social and the Trump administration. And I don't know if Joseph, if you picked up on this on the US side, but Truth Social now making a service available for $100,000 a year. And if you pay for it, this is going mainly to people subscribing on Wall Street. They get the Truth Social posts from Donald Trump just, seconds faster than anybody else, because they hook up to a line that gives them the information quicker. And then they combine that with artificial intelligence to take that information and then determine what kind of impact that statement from the president is going to have on the stock market, so they know whether to buy or sell. So that in itself rigs the market, gives them an unfair advantage where they are always going to win always. And when you're investing or I'm investing, thinking that we're investing into a fair system, it isn't anymore. It's completely rigged. The big guys with the big money to spend like $100,000 a year to get it even just seconds faster, because they've also got the computational power behind it through AI to determine the outcome before anybody else, before it ever happens. They're predicting the future. Is what
they need to give Martha Stewart money back then. That's no fair that she went to jail for insider trading and that now all of these people are doing the same damn thing. They should financially give that poor woman money back. But anyways, fact, I got to sneak off here because
in normal times, this would be a crime. This would be
totally
convictable. He'd be in jail. Trump.
Thanks so much for having me tonight. I'll be on with you guys again. I got to sneak off. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I got to go warm up some spaghetti, so I'm going to drop off too.
Not you too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I need to warm up some spaghetti, so I'll see you guys later. Take care.
All right. We'll wrap up for tonight.
Yeah. I probably should rock and roll too in the next 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, anybody got a final comment?
Yeah. I really sucked today shooting. I did 2 matches, and I don't know where my head was at after I had a top score last week. I've drifted, and I know that's off topic, but I needed to vent. Had a great time, Rick. I think that the data centers and AI present humanity with a problem that we may not be aware of, and we're just rushing in. It could be a forest fire, and we're running into it. It could be beneficial. I'm not sure. Like, you look at nuclear fission as an example. You can either use it to kill a lot of people, or you can use it to have a very small footprint and give energy to a lot of people. You can use it to, I think they use them in isotopes for MRIs. So I don't know what's going to happen with AI. It's one of those double-edged swords. If we run in there, it could be like Ian had said, a nuclear bomb, right? It should just blow everything up. Or maybe it'll help a lot of people and create an MRA machine or something that'll help us, like a nuclear power plant. I don't know. So I'm against them until I know more about them. Right? That's me. Thank you for having me.
Nuclear did some great
final thought.
Nuclear did some great things. In case of we don't know, I mean, it's all in medical. And to say something about what Angie said about the evolution of the cloud, if you will, well, that was selling you efficiency for your security. So basically, it's another technocrat kind of plan.
There you go. And with that, we will see you guys back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern.
On the flip side.
Flip side.
Hey, take care, everybody.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Nice seeing you.
They're not stupid, they're just dumb. Running their mouths with a digital thumb. Think they're tough, but they ain't that hard. Pity the fools, they're the tards. Retarded, can't see straight, full of rage and second-rate hate. Retarded, trying so hard, screaming at ghosts. They're the tards. No real thoughts, just mob and wine. Marching circles, toe the line. Quick report, cancel, flee. Ain't got nothing but misery. Retarded, head full of noise. Broken tools with shiny toys. Retarded, playing the card, pity the fools. They're the tards. Hey, shut it down. No more truth in Tard Town.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.